I will be showing you how to create and use Ninject in our MVC5 application. So I have already created a set of projects to be used in our example. So if we see over here, we have got data tier with me, that is repository example dot data, and I have got all the entities in my repository example dot data dot entities. So what for using Ninject, first I need to import it using the NuGet packages. So if I go and search for Ninject dot MVC5 and install it, once the Ninject.mvc5 has been installed, we will be able to see a Ninject web common file over here in the app start where we need to configure it. So let me show you what I have done. I am using the repository pattern for showing you this example. So I have got database context with me. So if you see over here, I have created a repository example context which is inheriting from DB context. Name is default connection. Let me accept it for the connection string, and this is the DB set which I have created. I am using the code first migrations for this. So if I show you my web.config file, then you will be able to see that default connection is a local host with student DB. So after this, I have created repositories and contracts. So first contract, so I have created a student contract which will be implemented by my student repository. So if you see over here, the student repository has been implemented over here. So now what I need to do is, since my Ninject is installed and I have got my Ninject webcommon.cs file with me, I need to bind it where I am creating the kernel. Bind contract with concrete class. So I need to use kernel.bind. So I need to bind my student repository. I need to inherit it from there. Dot 2, I need to provide my concrete class, that is student repository. Okay, so once I have binded my concrete class contract with my concrete class, then what I will do is I will use it to insert a row in my database. So what I have done over here is I have created a action result which is a create, and if you go to the view for this, it is a very basic implementation which says that it has got a name, it has got a age, which I am going to insert it in my DB. So let's go ahead and implement the create post method. So let me copy paste this, control C, I'm going to make this as http post. Now I need to pass student model over here, which I have created in my models folder. Let me show you that. So this is the student model, and I am passing over here student, right? So if model state is not valid, then I am saying return view. So it will return the create view. So if it's valid, then what we are going to do is we are going to implement our insert logic. So what I am doing over here is implementing dependency injection. So let me create a private iStudent repository underscore repo. So now instead of creating a new instance of this, I will say iStudent repository repo underscore repo is equal to repo. So the instantiation work is done by the Ninject. So now since I have checked whether the model is valid or not, after that I am going to use the repo to insert my data. So insert is going to take the parameter entity. So let me pass student over here. So it's saying that cannot convert repository student model to entities. So what for this what we can do is we can use the auto mapper. Let me use auto mapper dot map. I need to provide my destination type since I am inserting this into my database. So it has to be student from the data.entities, and I am mapping it this to student model. So once I have done that, I need to save it. Repo that saves it. Commit. So once I have committed this, either I can return those values or I can just leave it as they are. So let me leave them. So now if I run my application, so my application is up and running. Let me navigate to that student controller with create action method. Error activating iStudent repository using binding from iStudent repository to iStudent repository. No constructor was available to create an instance of the implementation type. Activation path is this. Suggest ensure that the implemented type has a public constructor. If you have implemented the use a binding with in singleton scope. So let me see what went wrong. So if I see over here, I have created this a private method. So let me make this public and try to run the application again. So let me put a breakpoint over there to just see whether it is hitting this or not. Student create. Let me see my inject web common file. So okay, so here is the mistake. I'm sure that you must have noticed it earlier. I needed to bind it with the repository, student repository. Instead of that, what I did was binded it with repository. So that was purely a blunder mistake. So now since I have done the required part, I think my application should be up and running. They are sometimes really good to make mistakes because once you get to know the errors, you will make sure that you know where to go and fix them. So now it is hitting my breakpoint. So if you see in my application, let me remove this one breakpoint. That I have got name and age over here. So let me write test, and age of test is like 100. So if I create this, now the application has run. So if I check in my students database, then I can see that I have got a test name with id 1 and age 100. So this is how you use Ninject in your ASP.NET MVC application. Please let me know if you have any doubts. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great day.